past 6 years, I've had so many amazing changes in my art career. I wanted to encapsulate it in this new art book, Wild Nostalgia, and it's finally here. Welcome, dreamers. I'm Dimitra Milan, a professional artist living in Sarasota, Florida with my husband and beautiful little boy. And today, I wanted to share with you the story of my new art book, Wild Nostalgia. About 6 years ago, I was in the middle of my art career and really felt like I wanted to create an art book that just highlighted all my favorite pieces and just kind of wove my story of who I am and how I got started in my art. So I came out with the book Golden Grace. I wanted Golden Grace to be an inspiration for my collectors and just all my art fans out there, to just inspire them to go for their dreams. It turned out so beautiful. I knew that it was just the beginning and I would create more art books in the future. That book came out 6 years ago, and since then I've had so many new changes in my life. I got married to the love of my life. We had a baby together, and that's been completely transformative for me, especially in my art. I mean, there's just been countless changes and growth. My art has evolved, and I think every artist evolves over time. So I felt like it was definitely time for another art book. My vision for this art book was to just be a continuation from Golden Grace, stick with the same size, format, style of that book, but just do it even more beautiful and really encapsulate my art and all the different changes that have happened over the past 6 years and show it chronologically. When I first got started with creating this book, I was so excited. I thought it was going to be pretty smooth sailing because the last book happened, wasn't too much of a struggle. Production, all that went really quickly and smoothly. So I was just expecting kind of a similar experience, but it was like hitting a block after block. In the beginning, the first step was getting all my artwork together in folders and separating it by the year, and then creating poems for every painting. Most of the time I do write a poem as I finish the piece. It just sort of comes to me, I put it on my website. So a lot of it was just going back, finding it and piecing it all together, and then filling in the blanks where I needed more poetry. So that whole process of the actual writing of the book and getting all the content together only took a couple months. But then, after that smooth beginning, I thought, oh, I'll have this book in my hands in like a month or two, and I could launch it while I'm in Greece during the summer. That was kind of my first idea, and that's what I was planning for. That did not happen. The name just came to me one day while I was painting, and I didn't even know that that was going to be the name of this book. I just heard those words and I wrote it down in my journal, and then a couple months later when I was putting this book together, I remembered that I had a phrase that I loved, and I didn't remember what it was, so I went back to my journal and saw that Wild Nostalgia, and I thought, that is the title of this book. Looking back on all the paintings I've created over the years and just putting them together in this book, it makes me feel very nostalgic and think about all the different milestones that have happened in my life and remembering where I was in that moment when I created, each specific painting, and it brought back a lot of memories. That's the title, Wild Nostalgia. 2019 was when a lot shifted in my life, and that happened romantically. I met Jake again after 3 years of not talking to him at all. Finally, it was the right timing for us both. We fell in love really quickly, and we got engaged quickly, and then we got married quickly. I knew from day one of meeting Jake that he was the one for me. It really felt like love at first sight, even though that sounds cheesy. It was so true. Since getting married, I feel like life has just felt so good, and it felt already complete, but then once we had Zion, it was just something I didn't even know I was missing. And becoming a mom has been the biggest transformation in my life so far. I really love being a mom, and it does change priorities completely, but painting time is still very precious for me. Being alone in my studio, working on these paintings and still having goals and aspirations for my career while balancing being a mom and being there for him, it stretched me in so many different ways. Somehow it's working. And after becoming a mom, it has inspired a lot of this artwork you see in this book. The whole floral series was created shortly after having Zion. Also, during the last 6 years, we made a huge family decision. All of us moved across the country from Arizona to Georgia. That definitely inspired new themes in my art, going from a desert to lush forest, and we had 64 acres in Georgia, so it was a whole forest surrounding us, and that was so inspiring. And then about a year ago, we moved to Florida. Now that's brought about a whole other theme in my art, and being connected to the ocean more really inspires me, and I feel like I've finally found my place, and I love it here so much. I wanted to go with the same publisher as before for Golden Grace because I'm doing the same format, they know me, and I thought that would just be perfect. But they more than doubled their price, so it was kind of just impossible to go with that publishing company again. So I had to find a new publisher, and that took some time. This is the first sample I'm getting to look at of my new art book. So I ended up having to go with a new printing company. Their turnaround times were just so much slower than what I was used to. The revisions just took forever, and it was a lot of back and forth, waiting for weeks on samples. I had to make these last-minute decisions that would seem like a really quick, easy thing to change. Every decision would equal 3 more weeks in the process. So that was just the hard part of like me feeling a little bit in over my head, like I don't know the process of creating a book, I'm learning as I go. 2 times I got samples and they weren't good. This due date just kept getting pushed back farther and farther. It doesn't seem quite right. It was really stressful. I thought I would be able to launch the book around May, June, and now it's mid-November, and the books are finally ready. Here is the final version of the book, and I am just super, super happy with it. I really, really loved how this turned out. And this one right here is one of the limited editions. There's only 250. It has gold edges, a bookmark, and it's even numbered on the back. So every limited edition will have its own unique number. I just really love every aspect of the book. It just flows so well together and just brings back a lot of good memories. A lot of people ask me what my favorite painting is that I've done. It's usually the painting I'm working on most recently. I just have a lot of favorites, and probably my favorite painting of all would be the first painting I did after I gave birth to my son. The painting is called Garden of Grace. It's a really big floral piece. It was just kind of helping me go in a new direction since becoming a mom. I just felt like I was really drawn to flowers and nature and wanted to move away from just doing portraits. Looking back on these, it just brings me so much joy, and thinking about how little Zion was when I painted these. He was just a few months old. It feels so long ago, but it also feels like that just happened. So time is really crazy when you have kids. Usually in life, when you face a lot of resistance, it's for a reason. It's because you're meant to do that thing. I felt like that whole experience leading up to this book finally arriving, it was kind of like a wall after wall, and there was certain points where I wanted to just quit because I felt like it wasn't gonna work out. I'm really glad that I continued and persevered. I really feel like this book is meant to be out there, and I am just so happy it's finally here, and I hope that it brings you so much inspiration and inspires you to go after your own dreams. I've been thinking a lot about what got me started as an artist and what inspires me to continue painting, the deeper messages behind my art and what, this book is about. It's showcasing all my art and poetry, but the underlying message always stays the same. It's something that I'm really passionate about. I want my art to be really inspiring for people where they feel that anything is possible. Whatever they can imagine can happen. I really want people to believe that they have a destiny and purpose. There's even a little section in the back of the book where I kind of created a journal page and a little sketching box. So I don't know if people will use it. I encourage you to use it, and after you go through the whole book, to just write down what comes to your mind and maybe write down your own dreams and goals. I encourage you guys to really just push through. If you're feeling resistance in your life in a certain area, if you have a goal that you've been wanting to achieve, just persevere and it will be worth it in the end. If you're interested in purchasing this book and it's speaking to you, there's a link in the description below this video for you to go and buy it. Wild Nostalgia really shows a bit of my personal life as well as my art and how it's woven together. I hope this book just fills you with inspiration, and please leave a comment below of a dream or a goal that you have right now.